This video is going to be on the process of startup and first year service going forward. We've recently put Pete Minton into the middle of that process so that he can make you guys a lot more informed, make the service guys more informed, basically give you a better product for your customer. So let's kind of start from ground zero. When you first get a job and you tell the inside guy, go, and we need to start working on submittals, that kind of thing. He will pull a PO, and when he pulls a PO, there's some information here that he enters. This little portion here, which is does the project have startup and does the project have first year service, is one of the things that trigger an email from this to the service department to let them know that we do have a startup first year service project coming down the pike. Right now it's hit and miss on whether we get dates and that kind of thing, and this process should clean that up a little bit. But this is what they get, and as we go a little further, when we're actually pulling PO numbers, it gets a little more detailed on what the inside guy does. So once that email is generated, what is done now is it basically goes in the hopper. Renee and Keith are aware of it, but very little goes on with it until much further down the process. Pete's job is to kind of shepherd that process along better. So when you send that email, he is going to get it logged into a running spreadsheet that's on the network that anybody can go look at. But this is really for him more than anything. First thing he's going to do is go into the spreadsheet and see what we're supposed to be starting, because a lot of times it'll just say startup. It won't tell you what piece of gear and that kind of thing. So he's going to go in there, and if it shows VRV and rooftops and all that, he's probably going to ask the question, are we starting the VRV and the rooftops, or just the rooftops, or just the VRV, or whatever. He's going to check the pricing on it to make sure the pricing is correct one way or the other, see if there's any anomalies there. Hopefully we've used the spreadsheet, and using that price guidance should be clean as a whistle, or have gotten a quote from Pete. But once he gets this, he is going to go log all these things in. Do we have startup? Do we have first year service? He's going to log in how many hours. So now the service guys know how many hours they have to accomplish the task. He's going to log in what equipment we have, which is going to trigger some more questions that he's going to have for you guys. When do we need startup? When is the warranty supposed to end? And this will be filled in later on. But we're going to start out with an estimated. Then we're going to have an actual once it's completed. And then as the process keeps flowing, when is the warranty done and when is our service done? Because we might have a longer labor warranty due to the contract getting, substantial completion versus actual product warranty. He is going to need this information from you, which is, job information sheets on Microtech 3 controller setup and VRV setup and that kind of thing. There's going to be some equipment we need that information, some equipment we don't. The more information from the sales guy, the better. He's going to track this process through the whole cycle, which is, did we have the service guy talk to the sales guy? Did we get our service reports turned in? Do we have the training manuals done? Did we do owner training? Are all the work orders complete? So when we have service calls, are those work orders complete? And are the sales guys still getting them? Do we have any open items? And then are our closeout documents done, and any miscellaneous notes? So it's to be a much more all-encompassing thing, which will allow the service department to communicate to the sales department. The information that he is going to be asking you for and what he's going to require is no different than what we had talked about, which is effectively what is the startup of the iTouch? How do we want the nav controller set up? And what I really see right now is the two big ones that I see all the time that are pretty complex are VRV and Microtech 3 rooftop settings. Knowing that stuff is really valuable, because the Microtech 3 controller is way more powerful than anybody else's controller. We need to take credit for that. Good example, if you ship a Trane rooftop out and it's set up for VAV and you want to change it to constant volume single zone, you got to go get a new program and download it in there. With the Microtech 3, you just change the keypad, blah, 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 and it'll resort that out. Really good controller, and that's why I'm going to encourage everybody to do that Microtech 3 class. We're going to have one in St. Louis and one in Kansas City. Go to that, understand it. That's going to help you get the job started up correctly. It's also going to help you tell your engineer how cool our stuff is compared to the other guys. So anyway, this is what we're going to be requesting. You got a rooftop unit set up for them. It's a lot of stuff here, but we're going to have templates. As we do this, you're going to do a particular customer, for example, that does office buildings. You're going to set it up a particular way. As we go down this process, doing 1 job, 2 job, 3 jobs, we're going to end up with probably 4 or 5 pretty standard setups and then get custom from there. So this process should be very, very efficient and not take much of your time. We can just go to default values and you can just say, hey, here's my default value. But I'm going to warn you, if you just say do default and then you say, oh, by the way, I didn't want it set up that way, it's on your nickel, not the service department's nickel. You have responsibility here to make sure that whatever you tell them, you're comfortable with, because you're the guy that should know the sequence of operation, should have talked to the engineer how he wanted to operate his building. And if you haven't, you ought to, because your engineer has no idea how this stuff works, and you need to educate him. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what guys are doing. Here is a email from Chris. Perfect. Chris gets an attaboy for this, and then I'll cut him to pieces later. But here's what Chris did, and I don't know how long this took him, probably 10 minutes, but this is where the job is located. This is the unit I want started. This is this is exactly how I want it running. I want it, and it's not a sequence of operation. It's really simple. Cooling discharge here with hot gas reheat is 70. Heating is 72, and basically gives the service department some flavor on how to set that up and what Chris is really looking for. He then filled this sheet out. You can see all he did. He wrote this in and some things. This is probably even more information than he needed to do. Great. He said, I want it custom, and here's what I want. That quick. That will put us on such a better path than us guessing how to start these units up. So that's a real good example. Chris gets a little gold star and a pat on the back if I see him. And then Brett, this is Holiday Inn Mount Vernon. This is how we want our hotel set up. We used the default of Drury Hotels, which is this here. And this did not take long for Brett to do. It gave exactly what we need. We have a baseline for what we want to do, and it's nothing different than what Drury's doing. And Brett said, hey, if it's good for Drury, it's good for my guy. And that was as simple as that. But it gave us a good baseline of how to set that hotel up. So when Pete gets that information from you, the other part of information he's going to ask for is, when do we think it's going to be started? I know we don't know exact dates, but the schools are all going to be end of July or early August. This is where the project management comes in. We need the sales guy to call the contractor, say about when do we want to start it, push that contractor to start giving us a little better direction. We're also going to then get information to Pete and the service crew so they can go talk to maybe the foreman on site directly to really kind of find out, as we're getting closer and closer to startup, what's the situation with the job and that kind of thing. So Pete's going to be dragging some information out of you. The idea here is to make it as efficient for you guys as we can, to where you can have maximum information with minimum input. And I want the service guys to get the maximum amount of information from you guys with minimum amount of input on your part. That does not mean shortcut it and don't give them what they need. We're still going to need what they need. And what you're going to find out if we do it correctly, the reduced service calls, the callbacks, the why is my job not working sales guy call because your engineer's mad because it's not set up, or the startup didn't get finished, or the job's not operating as we want it to, and that kind of thing. Hopefully that is going to really limit that kind of negative feedback that we've been getting. So we want our forms completed. This is your job to fill this out. I want you to go in there, hit the edit button, put in the date. He's not doing it for you. He's not your secretary. Type this in, and then if you got your form completed, you click on this. We're really going to start trying to get you guys to use this tool a lot more, not just for startup, but engineering dashboard and bidding and closing. Right now, some of you don't have the mass quantity of jobs that once you get really rolling that you're going to have, but this will be a great tool for you overall to really keep yourself organized. This is not meant to be something that slows you down. It's something that's going to have you be more efficient and allow you to sell more and make more, which is good for everybody. Okay, so Chris, you failed miserably on this particular aspect, but you did well on the other one, so not bad. We'll give you a C+, C-ish or something. Okay, so once we get through that whole process, We get to the point of startup, we go start up the job. We want the service guys to be talking to the sales guys after startup. That will give you guys some really good information that you can keep your engineer informed and your owner informed and your contractors informed of what's going on. Hopefully that feedback um, extends into them contacting you or you contacting them to give that startup guy, here's exactly what I want, and this particular engineer is super particular, or this contractor has been getting killed on this job and he's going to be up your butt the whole time, so be ready for it. Whatever that is will help him. If it helps him, it's going to help you. Once startup is complete, we've kind of done our training. We're going to really focus on the end user guys, Jeff and Mark and Jim Struck, those guys really being with the owner, really trying to nurture that relationship with the owner so that we do not get the, hey, this thing hasn't worked for 3 months and all of a sudden your engineer's yelling at you. We want you to have the contact with the engineer, the contractor, the aftermarket guys, and our service guys have the relationship with the end user so that we never get a whoa, 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 I thought it was working, and then we find out nobody's happy. Happens all the time. There's usually nothing wrong. It's just, it's not, either they're not trained or they're confused or whatever. There's 90% of the time it's a very fixable thing that is a non-issue and becomes a negative issue. So let's turn it into a positive. So that's pretty much it. So that hopefully with all of this, that will get you a good feel of where we're going forward. Pete's going to be the kind of the gatekeeper there, and we'll start this process, and hopefully, it'll sit there and get organically better as we go along. So